The main IFV of the Zagorian Defense Forces originally was the BTR-70, as it made up the entirety of their IFV fleet, opting for a wheeled fleet instead of tracked. These vehicles proved to be defenseless against RPG teams and Soviet BTR-80s, whose autocannons were far superior than the heavy machine gun in use on the BTR-70s. Soviet heavy armor was also an extreme concern for these forces, as the 14.5mm gun was incapable of penetrating even the sides of these vehicles during ambushes. The solution was an overhaul of the fleet that would take place both in and out of country, where LAV-25 turrets would be mounted on the BTRs to provide additional firepower that the West could supply. The other major issue during the conflict was nationalist forces raiding ZDF bases, securing the ammunition, and depriving ZDF forces of 14.5mm rounds that only Warsaw-packed countries could provide at the time. There was, however, no shortage of 25mm among the Western countries backing the Zagorian Defense Forces, a change that absolutely enhanced the combat capabilities of the defense forces at that time. These changes, however, did not include any modifications of the armor capabilities of the BTRs. These BTR-25s were still vulnerable at close range to RPGs, and would regularly see losses if used improperly in urban combat. However, when used properly, the BTR-25 could provide long-range fire support with a 25mm cannon, providing HEI, high explosive incendiary rounds, into enemy buildings, fortifications, tree lines, and foxholes. This enhancement in range and accuracy was very beneficial to the Zagorian Defense Forces and their mechanized assaults, as it allowed for targets to be softened up with automatic fire from long range, as opposed to having to engage at close range with the BTRs that would leave them susceptible to RPG rounds, as well as not force dismounted infantry to attack defended positions before receiving the support required. It was found that 25mm AP rounds could reliably penetrate the sides of the T-34s in use by rebel forces. In the ambushing role, these BTR-25s were exceptional at mitigating any armor advantages that West Zagoria nationalist forces might have with reactivated T-34s. In fact, this was the go-to tactic for mechanized brigades of the ZDF when engaging rebel forces armed with T-34s that they acquired, either from storage, museums, or potentially even Soviet suppliers. The BTR-25 would become the workhorse of ZDF forces in their campaign against both Soviet and rebel nationalists. Lightweight, highly mobile, amphibious, the BTR-25 kept the ZDF in the fight far longer than their BTR-70s ever would have.